This is a podcast by the News Minute, and you are listening to South Central.
Hello and welcome to South Central, a TNM podcast where we put the South at the center. This is a podcast that drops every Friday, where we bring you the headlines from South India. We also discuss in detail 2 topics every week. Joining me in the studio is my colleague and co-host, Pooja Prasanna.
Hello. If you haven't figured, for those who are listening, I am dressed properly in woolen stuff because Bangalore's gotten really cold and I've fallen sick promptly.
Yeah, and I hope I'm not next in line. But for those listening from North India, I hope you guys are doing well. A lot of people I speak to, my journalist friends, everybody's saying they're going to go out for 1 or 2 weeks because the pollution is just getting worse. So I hope you guys are doing well, or better at least. In this episode, we discuss the nuances of the Kerala actor sexual assault case as the judgment is finally going to come after 8 years. Then we look at how the SIR process is unfolding across states. Anyways, before we go to the headlines, I have 2 quick announcements to make. The first is a news item that maybe you missed or maybe you didn't. If you had watched Let Me Explain last week, it's that the government of India has increased the print ad rates, that is newspaper ad rates, by 26%. In an ideal democracy, we should have been okay with that because newspaper industry does need money. But we don't live in an ideal democracy, which means that when the government increases revenue for newspapers, the government's interest also will increase, which means the newspapers that are already doing such less critical reporting about the government will do even lesser. So when the government increases something by 26%, what do we do, Pooja?
To quote Michelle Obama, or to flip the argument, when they go high, we go low. So we give 26% discount.
I somehow think it's very negative, right? I think when they go high, we go higher, which means we give a better deal for our subscribers. So Modi ji is giving 26% discount, 26% extra revenue for newspapers, but we are giving you 26% discount on our joint subscription for the News Minute and News Laundry. That offer is valid till this weekend. So take the offer. You have 1 month, you have for 1 month, you have for 6 months, and you have for 1 year. So do become a subscriber. And when you become a subscriber, one of the first stories that you can read is an investigation series that we have done. It's on this very interesting businessman from Kerala. His name is Bobby Chemanur. He is very well known for all Keralites. But even if you're in Tamil Nadu or Karnataka, you would have seen the Chemanur International Gold. It's not the same as the Chemanur Jewelers.
Yeah.
It's a different company. So we've done an investigative series. The stories are done by Jisha Surya and one story by Ravi Nair too, where they talk about this Bobby Chemanur's business model and how it works, where he has a maze of LLPs and hundreds of investors. Some of these LLPs run on losses and they are in turn investors in this big jewelry company. So how does it work? Most of the auditors we spoke to said it's not illegal, but it's questionable. Read those stories. It took months of investigation for Jisha. They are behind a paywall. So take the subscription on discount and then read these stories immediately.
Since 2012, a bunch of media mavericks have been saying the same thing.
Ads targeted at street vendors and farmers, best place to put them? English news channels. So I guess the real question is this a public outreach program or just a way for government fat cats to feel good about themselves at the taxpayers' expense?
Make no mistake, when the advertiser pays, the advertiser is served.
When the government pays the media 26% more for ads, you've got to address the elephant in the room. Who are those newsrooms more accountable to? That's why when they go high, we go low. Get a 26% off on a joint subscription to the News Laundry and the News Minute. Celebrate journalism that isn't for sale.
Let's look at the headlines, starting with Karnataka. Terrible news yesterday. Muruga Matsya acquitted in POCSO case filed by 2 minor girls. There are 3 cases against him right now. This is the first case where he has been acquitted. 2 minor girls who were living in the hostel in the Seer in 2022 had accused him of sexually assaulting them for many, many years. One of them was 15, the other one was 16 years old. There is another case pending that where another minor girl has said that for 2 years she was sexually assaulted by him. We haven't seen the order copy yet. By the time this episode was recorded, we didn't have access to it yet. Hopefully by the time the episode is out, we would have gotten some clarity on why the court ruled this way. But terrible, terrible news, because at the time we realized how difficult it was for those 2 girls to come out. They escaped from the hostel, then found a few activists, Stanley from Ordinary organization. Through them, they filed a police complaint. Their family also had to suffer the consequences of this. So very, very depressing story there. Next headline from Karnataka, but it's our Power Trip, which is a political weekly newsletter. Uncertainty over Karnataka Chief Minister's shift. We've been talking about this for 3 years. It's like you wake me up from my sleep and ask me and I can just ramble off.
But I think it will happen sooner or later. Like in Power Trip, what we've explained is that everybody we spoke to agrees that the power shift will happen. When will it happen and who will it be shifted to are, of course, the 2 most important questions. When the answer is only with Rahul Gandhi, not even God, right? It's just Rahul Gandhi. And who DK Shivkumar, of course, says that it will be him. Most of the Congress leaders we speak to also say that it will be him. But in case Siddaramaiah says no to DK Shivkumar and he puts his foot down and says no to handing over to DK, then what happens? That's what we've explained in Power Trip. But I think there have been so many fast-paced developments, and I like how BJP is trying to fish in muddied waters by saying, we will give you outside support.
But I don't know why they think they're relevant. I think it's just like a shout to say we are still here. And
yeah,
with
the numbers the Congress has, I don't think DK Shivkumar is unwise enough to try any sort of coup. He will want, I think what he's looking for now is an assurance that whether it's in March, whether it's in May, he will be made the chief minister. He needs a public assurance to be given by the party, or at least within the party to be a proper assurance to be given.
Yeah. Moving on to Kerala, Congress has no clear answers as Rahul Mangutathil campaigns in Palakkad amid new audio leak row. The suspended MLA's door-to-door campaign in Palakkad has reignited controversy as fresh clips alleging sexual misconduct are circulated online. Our in-house Palakkad expert will take this forward.
I mean, I've never seen more lame reactions than the Congresses in the last 2-3 days. So there is a new audio which shows that, I mean, it's so gross. This Rahul Mangutathil is actually telling that woman that, please, can we have a baby? Can you please become pregnant for me? I mean, I hate men who talk like that. But anyways, this is what he's saying. And then after she becomes pregnant, he's like, who asked you to become pregnant? Abort the baby. Though she's saying it could be unhealthy for her. So that's the audio that is out. And he's been suspended from the party, but he's still campaigning for the party. When you ask any party leader, they're like, oh, we have suspended him. So bloody why is he campaigning for your party? You should tell him to stop, right?
BLO removed from post for public display of nudity during SIR work in Kerala. The alleged incident happened while the BLO was filing up enumeration forms surrounded by people, including women, in Malappuram district. Oh my God, we're going to be discussing the SIR fiasco a little more in detail.
So I think this BLO is like,
enough with this already.
in Abhinandan's words, you know, like, just get lost.
FTA?
Yeah. And then he's like, I will do whatever it can to make sure I'm sacked or at least suspended so I don't have to do this job.
Brings us to the point of how much pressure they're under. Like I said, we'll discuss this in more detail a little later. Tamil Nadu Governor Ravi's arrogance must be tamed, says Chief Minister Stalin. This after, of course, the governor, who is now almost known for making controversies, at a university when he was giving a speech, said that, he called the state extremists. He also spoke in a way that undermined Tamil identity. And now, of course, the chief minister says that he's acting at the behest of the BJP-led union government. At this point, I almost feel the governor is campaigning for the DMK because election is coming in a few months from now. Every time he opens his mouth and says something like this, it just gives more ammunition to the DMK. Yeah. Expelled ADMK leader Sengotian resigns from MLA post amid speculations that he could join Vijay's party TVK.
I think he's joining today. So most probably by the time this episode is out, Sengotian is definitely an achievement for Vijay because he's an organization person, right? He's been around for many, many years. And what a new party like TVK needs very badly is someone who understands how a political organization runs. And Sengotian can also bring other active politicians to TVK.
Maybe not MLAs, but people in the organization who could add
who
help.
have organizational strengths, right?
Moving on to Telangana, Union Minister offers rupees 10 lakh to panchayats if they elect BJP-backed candidates, a new law in democracy. Bandi Sanjay Kumar told panchayats in his Karimnagar constituency that new funds will not come and central funds may get diverted if others win. I mean, he should be booked, and this also calls for a relook into how central grants, quote unquote, are disbursed, in fact. Illegal mining probe, ED attaches 80 crore rupees assets linked to MLA Mahipal Reddy's brother. This is also coming in from Telangana. Let's move to the other Telugu state. CBI busts transnational cyber crime network targeting US nationals. The CBI has also arrested the accused Vikas Singh from his residence in Lucknow on the 20th of November. There have been a bunch of raids and arrests, including in Hyderabad and Visakhapatnam. Another headline from Andhra, this one a little more positive. Reliance JV to invest $11 billion in AI center in Andhra Pradesh. The 5-year investment is for 1 gigawatt AI data center in Visakhapatnam. And I'm told in the same duration, Google is also looking to invest almost similar amount of money in Visakhapatnam. And I read somewhere this is going to be the biggest AI center outside of the United States.
I know you said it's a positive headline, but I have something negative to say. I mean, reading up a lot on data centers gobbling of water. And I think because I read it now, my algorithm is only throwing up data centers in Amazon and other places where there's now water scarcity. I don't know how they're announcing 2 huge data centers in Visakhapatnam. And what is the plan about saving water? Because data centers do really use a lot of water.
Yeah.
Which is why in a lot of countries, they don't allow data centers.
Yeah, but I mean, the state needs jobs desperately, so they'll do whatever it takes. And I'm guessing they're banking on Polavaram and other such projects.
But that's a lot of water resource. In fact, I think we should do a proper story on what is the kind of water resource that this will use.
Yeah, that's it for this week.
Yeah, so the headlines are done. Now we will go to the first topic of discussion. So we're going to first discuss the Kerala actor sexual assault case. The sexual assault happened in February 2017, and after 8 years, District and Sessions Judge Hani M. Varghese has said that she will give the verdict in the case on the 8th of December. This is a case that has had huge implications for Kerala. A young female actor was kidnapped. She was sexually assaulted. The entire Malayalam industry's face was exposed in one way or the other after this crime happened. So no matter what the verdict is, this case has had major implications in Kerala. Of course, the main accused in the case is superstar Dileep. He was accused of orchestrating this entire crime. And I think it's the first time I've ever heard the allegation of someone giving a quotation to get somebody else sexually assaulted.
I want to tell you that people outside Kerala don't understand the word quotation.
Oh, quotation. What is quotation? Supari.
Supari is what North Indians call it. A contract.
Yeah.
A contract to commit a crime on his behalf.
So the basic case is that this Dileep gave a quotation / supari / contract / bribe to a gunda called Palsasuni to abduct this actor, who, by the way, is quite popular in Kannada, Tamil and Malayalam, not just in Malayalam, to sexually assault her, get the visuals of the sexual assault so that he could do whatever he planned to later.
I think a lot of curiosity, or people are watching out to see if Dileep will be convicted and what will happen, because of course, like you mentioned, the gunda is important but secondary, isn't it?
Yeah. So Palsasuni, and there were I think five more people who are accused in the crime itself. But yes, Dileep is the most important person, the person that everybody will be looking at, whether he is going to get convicted or acquitted. And I think no matter what the verdict is going to be, Pooja, whether he's going to be acquitted or convicted, over the last few years, what we have seen really panning out is the failure of the judiciary and the system itself when it comes to protecting women, right? We have seen witnesses being intimidated, witnesses coming openly and saying that they are getting offers of bribe. We have had a case where a witness was almost kidnapped from outside the court. There have been phone leaks which showed that lawyers were trying to defame people, that they were trying to create narratives. We've had all sorts of scenarios. Even the sexual assault visuals were leaked from the court itself, not from anywhere else. It's been leaked thrice from the court itself. So we have seen so much happening. And there was a whistleblower who came in between, who made a lot of revelations about Dileep. So no matter how the verdict goes, this case has been sort of an awakening for people in Kerala as to how bad the system can get. Because when we think of women, we think of privileged women and we think of women without privilege. So if you look at privileged women, this actor perhaps has a lot of privilege, right? But despite all that, right from the start, there have been attempts to slut shame her, to basically insinuate that she somehow welcomed this on her, that she was responsible for what happened to her. Then when there was pushback, it turned to different angles. So I'm saying it doesn't matter what the verdict eventually says. This has been an eye-opener for us.
I know that we'll be discussing the case so that people know where we are at. But through the course of this conversation, I want to know from the three of you, because you followed the case much more closely, how the Kerala society itself has changed, because it's polarized people to a large extent. So I want to know what are the progresses that have been made, where we are probably even regressed, and what is stayed as is.
I mean, before we go into all that, I'll want to quickly go through the case itself, and joining us to explain all that are two of our colleagues. Sukanya Shaji is joining us from Kochi. As the viewers and listeners of South Central would know, she is a lawyer turned journalist who works with the News Minute and of course is a multiple Ladli award winner. Sukanya, welcome.
Also, Sukanya today is...
You have to vocalize, Sukanya, because it's a podcast. People have to hear you.
Thank you.
And joining from Thiruvananthapuram is Azeefa Fathima, who covers the courts for us and also is a breaking news head and a multiple award winner. Thank you, Azeefa, for coming to South Central.
Hi, thank you for having me here again.
I'm in such great company today. All three of you are multiple award winners. And Sukanya, how does it feel to be on this side of the camera? For those who are not aware, Sukanya listens to the episode every week, and she's the one who's making notes and also working on social media for us and telling us what's working, what's not, and all that. So, yeah.
Honestly, I don't know. I mean, if that was a question, I feel like I just want to say, hey, homies, every time I'm here, because I'm so part of this podcast. I listen to it every week, like Pooja said. Every time there's a recording, I just feel like I know everyone. I know what's going on. I'm putting my thoughts. So I just want to say, hey, homies, when I'm here. That's what I feel.
Yeah, hey, homie back. So let's now go back to the discussion itself. I think the moot point here is that a group of 5 men, in connivance with the actor's driver, kidnaps her and sexually assaults her. Now, for the police, this would have been a straight case if this was a crime of passion or a crime of revenge, right? But it was very evident that this was planned, that there was a conspiracy. It's not like Palsasuni decided one fine day that I want to just sexually assault this woman. Therefore, what motivated him? Who was behind the conspiracy? That became the whole point of the investigation. So I think first we'll go to Sukanya to just explain in detail what happened in the night of the sexual assault.
Right. So, Nidhi, our colleague Nidhi has done a detailed story on this. I suggest all of you to read that before the verdict comes. So Nidhi spoke to this man called Manikandan, who was with Palsasuni and at least 5 others on the night of the assault. And Manikandan tells Nidhi that he got a call from Palsasuni saying that he has to meet him at a particular spot in the night. And Manikandan meets Palsasuni. And they get into a tempo where Palsasuni takes over the wheels and he's driving, and he gets a cue from another man called Martin, who had already picked up the actor and was driving her from Thrissur to Cochin for the shoot of a song. And as soon as the actor's car passes, Martin gives Palsasuni some sort of a signal, according to Manikandan, and then Palsasuni rams into the actor's vehicle purposely in their tempo, and Manikandan and the others get out of the tempo, go to the car, and Manikandan says he was startled to find this actor in the car. He actually had no idea. He thought this was probably, like Dhanya said, a hit and run quotation or something like that. But he says he was very startled to find this actor and he didn't know what was happening. So this is the point where, like Dhanya said, a case that should have been a straight case of, revenge crime or maybe, let's say this was a crime of some sort of a tussle was happening between the men, and the men suddenly see an actor and then spontaneously on that emotional whatever provocation or on the emotional immediate emotional response, a sexual crime is committed. But that was not the case. So Manikandan's account to Nidhi actually reveals that this crime has happened. There are different aspects to it, but what binds it together is a criminal conspiracy. If so, who is the conspirator? Who is Palsasuni working for? So that is the primary question, and that is also why, like Pooja mentioned in the beginning, Dileep becomes a person of interest, because conspirators always are people of power and they would hire somebody to do it for them. So this powerful mastermind is also a very important aspect in the crime. So that is how this case becomes, sort of entangled in power and who did it and why Dileep becomes a key player in here.
And to take away from that point, now in the initial days when the crime happened, nobody was talking about Dileep. I think in the first 1 or 2 weeks, there were a couple of names being discussed as to who could have a motive. But officially, nothing was being said about Dileep. There was one newspaper article which said that an actor from Alua is being looked at, which could be a lot of people, right? And I remember 1 or 2 other actors from Alua who came and said that it's not them. It was Manju Warrior who at an event said that this is a conspiracy. That word, I still remember asking her and she said, I didn't mean anything while saying that. But the police were actively looking into the conspiracy. Now they arrested these people, but who was behind them? And these guys were not telling. See, according to Manikandan, according to what he told Nidhi and even the court, they were not aware of who the conspirator was. Of course, the prosecution's case is that Manikandan did know a day before itself that it was this actor that they were going to kidnap. So, who is the conspirator? Dileep sort of gave himself away to the police in the sense that he started giving interviews. There was this particular interview he gave to Manorama Online where he's super aggressive. By then, the rumor had become thick, okay, that Dileep might be the person behind it. And in this interview, he is the first person who tries to cast a doubt that the sexual assault did not happen. He almost says like, oh, if normally women will not, go to work for a lot of days, they'll be depressed. He makes some random statements and he's questioning why did she come 2 days later to work and she shouldn't have had such friends, insinuating that she was friends with Palsasuni. So I'm telling you, he was the first person to even try to indicate this was something out of consent, right? And he cast himself as a victim saying, I have been going through all this difficulty because of all this.
So because his name was being dragged into it.
So the police were already looking at Dileep as a possible conspirator, but they were not very sure about it till a letter surfaced.
If I could just stop you there, how did the police arrive at the conclusion that this was a conspiracy? What were the factors that...
The conspiracy is because they knew that Suni couldn't have done it himself, right? That somebody would have told him. The first inkling that it could have been Dileep came from a relative of this female actor, who told the police that there is one person, which is Dileep, who has not liked her for a long time and he has ensured that she does not get movies, right? So even then, they don't have a motive. They are not very sure of anything. Yeah. They can't arrest him. They can't charge sheet him, nothing. Which is when this letter sort of pops up. The letter is written by Suni to Dileep from jail saying, Dileep beta, I am still very loyal to you. I will make sure your name doesn't come out. But the guy who takes the letter gives it to Dileep. Dileep, I think in a mode of panic or whatever, after a few weeks, not even immediately after he gets it, after a few weeks, he makes his letter public. Now, I think I'll go to Azeefa now because Azeefa, like what Pooja was asking, okay, there was a conspiracy. They are doubting Dileep now, but they needed a motive to actually establish that Dileep was the conspirator, right? Take us through the motive.
Okay, so when this case when Dileep's name started getting involved in this, the police take statements of different people and everything. And in Malayalam film industry, there are 3 main women whose name were involved in this case. One is a survivor. The other is Dileep's wife, Kavya Madhavan, and Dileep's ex-wife, Manju Warrior. So Manju Warrior gave So Manju Warrier gives a statement to the police in 2017 saying that Dileep was actually dating Kavya Madhavan when they were actually married. And then that was informed to Manju Warrier by the survivor. And that was the reason that Dileep festered this anger towards the survivor, and which led him to, involve Pulsar Suni in the case and everything. So that is the main motive that police could figure out from the statements. And Manju did depose us before the court at least twice, I think. Once back when the trial started, and then again later in 2020 or something. So Manju also kept saying this again and again at the court. So here we have to see that Manju was not the only person who made any statement like this. It was also people from AMMA, which is the Association of Malayalam Movie Artists. So Edavela Babu, who was the secretary of AMMA, the survivor gave a complaint to Edavela Babu, saying that her chances are being taken away because of Dileep. And then he says that there was a private discussion between them to resolve the matter. And then again, actors Siddiq, Bama and Bindu Panikar say that Dileep and the survivor were seen fighting during an event. But later, they go to the court and they say that they don't remember making that statement. And Edavela Babu goes on to tell that I never told that. And also later he defended his statement that he made in the court, saying that I answered what the court asked me, which was there a complaint filed? And he says there was no record of the complaint. So he later goes on to defend it. And right now there are like 4 hostile witnesses who were crucial witnesses to the case.
Yeah, I think this hostile witness is very, very important, Pooja, because these are 4 people who are from the industry, and Bhama was a very close friend of the survivor. Personally, I think for her, the biggest hit was when Bhama turned hostile, not any of the others, because the others were not her very close friends. So Bhama had initially told the police that there was this one event which was happening, an actors event organized by this AMMA. When all of them were rehearsing, Dileep lost his cool and yelled at her saying, I will set you on fire, alive. So Bhama said this to the police, then later she retracted. Bindu Panikar and the others also said that we were aware that he was very, very angry. In fact, even Kavya Madhavan told the police initially that the survivor clicked a picture of her and Dileep and sent it to Manju Warrier, which is why he was angry. So all of them spoke about the anger. But when it came to court, all these important witnesses just stepped back. They turned hostile. I mean, despite all the media attention, they turned hostile. And at one point of time, the case was looking like it is going to collapse. That there are no witnesses for the motive. And the survivor herself can't say that this was a motive alone, right? Except Manju. And I think Geetu Mohandas, Ramya Nambishan, there were a couple of other people, but the main 4 witnesses had turned hostile. At this crucial juncture is when this man just turns up. His name is Balachandra Kumar. He was someone who worked with Dileep for a long time. You know, initially when I interviewed him, in fact, Sukanya sent me a message today morning asking, why were you aggressive with him during your first interview? I was aggressive. So he had only given one interview to reporter and then to us during that time when he first came out as a whistleblower. I was skeptical, Sukanya, because this is a guy who has been in Dileep's camp for a long time. And his only reason of coming out was that he had reached a point where he thought that he's no longer going to make that movie with Dileep. And this is the guy who's recording every conversation. Like you are sitting here and you're just recording my conversation, right? And he had perfect memory of things. So he comes as a whistleblower. And he makes a lot of revelations, including a very crucial one that Dileep had a copy of the visual. Revelation or allegation or whatever. He says Dileep had a copy of the visual. He goes to court and he gives all these statements. I think when we talk about the visual, that is a very important point of this case, right? There were 8 clips in which the sexual assault was recorded. It was stored in a memory card, which is supposed to have been given to Kavya Madhavan's shop. There is a whole trajectory of how that memory card went. Just take us through the memory card itself, Azeefa, and the fact that the memory card has gotten leaked also.
After Balachandra Kumar makes the revelation in 2021, in early 2022, he released a set of audio clips in which we can hear the voices of Dileep, his brother, his brother-in-law, about how they watched some visuals. So this leads to the survivor who filed a petition in the court saying that there might be digital tampering with the memory card. And then she seeks for a report for a special investigation into that matter. And that is when the SIT, the Special Investigation Team, figures out that there is a report from 2020 that says that the hash value of the memory card has been changed. So hash value is technically like a fingerprint of a memory card or any electronic device. And it usually changes if any document in the memory card is tampered or changed or added or removed. So we don't know exactly what happened to the visuals or the documents in that, but she raised a suspicion that it is tampered with and we need a further probe into the matter. And this report, which was given in 2020 to the trial court judge, was not released for 2 years. Like, it was just with the judge. The prosecution did not know, the public did not know. The existence of the report did not come out until the investigation happened, and the police team accidentally chanced upon the report in the lab, in the FSL lab, right? And that is when they figure out that this report exists, and again they seek for a probe, and again an investigation happens. That's when they figured out 3 people accessed the memory card. So the 3 people who accessed the report were Magistrate Leena Rashid, who accessed it on January 2018. And the second time it was accessed by a personal assistant or senior clerk in the Ernakulam Principal and Sessions Judge, Mahesh Mohan. It was also in December 2018. And the third access was in July 2021 by a person called Tajuddin, who was an official of the trial court under Judge Hani Burgess. So these 3 people were the ones who accessed the memory card.
Yeah, I just want to interrupt Azeefa here. I mean, for all those listening, I hope you understood how grave the situation is. Here is a memory card, which is 8 clips of a sexual assault, which is in the custody of the court. It's not like it's with a news organization or in somebody's house. It is in the safe custody of the court. And in the safe custody of the court, it has been not even being played in the courtroom. It has been played. Dileep has been allowed to watch it, I think, twice. Suni has been allowed to watch it in the beginning. He has again asked permission now. We don't know whether he was showed or not. But this is not a memory card which is played again and again in court, right? This memory card has been accessed thrice illegally by 3 unauthorized people, including people who worked in the very trial judge's office. Until today, the Kerala judiciary has not taken any action on that. Can you imagine a situation where this case verdict comes on the 8th of December? What is our guarantee that within 3 months, 6 months, 6 years, this visual is not going to float somewhere? And that, I tell you, is the biggest nightmare for the survivor. I've spoken to her so many times. It is one of her biggest fears, which is legitimate now, right? We know of 3 people who accessed it. Did they copy it on some other device? Did they then show it to somebody else? Through the reporting of the many stories that we are going to put out when the verdict comes, we have met so many people in the vicinity of this case or who are proximate to this case who have said, I have seen the visual. How did they see this visual? How did this leak? Why has the judiciary not taken any action? So, Pooja, when we talk about, this I'm getting very animated, but the point is, when we talk about whether Dileep will get acquitted, Dileep will get convicted, I feel a first layer of injustice has already been done to the survivor. The visual of the sexual assault has been tampered, leaked, whatever it is, from the very court where it was supposed to be protected. There are forensic reports clearly giving the names of the 3 people who worked within the Kerala judiciary who have accessed this, which includes a magistrate. And till today, no action has been taken. I feel that except the prosecution and a few people who follow this case very closely, there has not even been a strong demand saying that why has there been no action against these people?
So it's safe to say, if at all this ever comes out, these people can be held responsible.
There is already enough proof to hold them responsible, right? But that's not been done. Anyway, so we'll come back to the case. We have told our audience how Dileep gets dragged into this. Yeah, how there are witnesses who turned hostile, how Manju Warrier comes into the case, what the motives are. So I hope the case is clear to you. And of course, one big portion of it is the memory card itself. Yeah, Sukanya, you want to add something?
Yeah, Dhanya, I just wanted to tie this memory card discussion to how you started off this episode by talking about how this is a privileged survivor. So in the course of our reporting, I spoke to a very close family member of the survivor who said that the biggest problem or the biggest shock came to her when she saw people shifting sides, and she saw, and he told me, and I quote, he said, the system started showing its claws and people started shifting sides, and they were really exposed to what it means to have power and to not have power. So for someone who we assume generally as a woman of social mobility, caste mobility, financial mobility and all of that, even for that woman, someone who has been very close to the woman, who has seen her closely, has told me that it was so shocking for her. We may expect it on many levels, but it's not that easy. So he was telling me about how, friends backed off, how family stood with her, but friends would just change colors. She would go talk to political leaders. She will see how, a lot of them stood with her, but a lot of these contradictions, he would see how things were different in court. And we should also talk about the social narrative. Like on the outside, I feel, post the actor assault case, there are a lot of things that have put gender at the forefront of a lot of conversations in Kerala. For example, even the formation of the Women in Cinema Collective and the subsequent release of the Hema Committee report, the acknowledgement of sexual harassment in film industry. So a lot of conversations have put gender at the center of films and popular culture post the Dileep case. And that has become a conversation in common parlance also. We see a lot of youngsters in film spaces, in a lot of spaces, talking about how something is not politically correct. And so outside, things were shifting. We felt like there was some progress happening in terms of conversations. People were getting into two camps. People who thought Dileep was innocent, and people who felt that, systems and everyone should be with the survivor, that Dileep should not be invited to functions and all of that. This bifurcation is happening on one part, but on the other part, for the survivor, in court, the system is failing her. She's being slut-shamed. She's been asked very invasive questions. She's under the fear of whether her private visuals are going to be leaked, whether it's going to be somewhere. Constantly being asked this. We also have to talk about Judge Hani Verghese here, against whom she petitioned multiple times, against whom the public prosecutor also resigned, citing that there was bias. So she was being asked a lot of questions in court so this contrast. So in the middle of this, you see this survivor who you think is so privileged. She's standing there. On one side, the society is hailing her as an icon. A lot of people are saying this is the woman who caused change, entire cyclical change in a big industry. And on the other side, there is a system that's terribly failing her, pushing her to tears, making her feel so vulnerable. So this is what every survivor, I feel, goes through, this irrespective of privilege. And we come back to that same conversation of how we don't have proper mechanisms to support survivors and everything. So we need to look at this also in that context, where how this dichotomous feeling that she had of simultaneously being hailed and being defeated.
Yeah, but like you people spoke about her privilege, we also have to keep in mind that the person who's accused of conspiracy here, Dileep, has much higher privilege in every which way. Gender, in the industry, political privilege. So for those who are watching this from outside of Kerala, if we can wrap this conversation by all of you telling us what is this power that he holds? Who is Dileep? What is the context in which he's operated?
I think the first two alphabets of this word privilege is what Dileep uses the most, which is PR. And we are inundated with Dileep PR, right? It's been happening from 2017 onwards, where first he is the victim of this entire thing. He is still the victim of this entire thing. In fact, in Nidhi's story, she has interviewed him and he has said that he respects women. Again, he has cast himself as a victim. So Dileep's PR also has been on a full overdose the last 2-3 weeks, projecting him as he's always the family man,
right.
Always projected as a family man, with 2 daughters and all that. I mean, nobody's faulting him for all that. Yes, fine, you're a family man, you look after your 2 daughters. But that has been used. I mean, I remember talking to Survivor at one point of time. I don't know, this must have happened 2-3 years ago, when she wore something and she went for some event, I think in Dubai or some place. And there was so much of slut shaming. She was so upset that day. I mean, I'd never seen her like that. And who was pushing that narrative? These are all people who are supposedly Dileep supporters saying that, oh, look at her. No wonder this happened to her. It was really horrible. And I think, see, a lot of people keep asking us, right? Oh, you are following this because it's a sensational case, because it involves 2 actors. Otherwise, why would you follow this case? When this initially happened, I don't think we were doing anything extra that other people didn't, right? We were following it like any other case. But over a period of time, I think in the first 6 to 8 months, we realized that what is happening around this case is reflective of Kerala as a society, right? That you exactly understand how powerful systems react, how the judiciary works, how men react. I mean, I can't tell you the number of people who would slut shame her and her supporters, anybody who supports her. So we thought this is a very good example to show a mirror to Kerala society with this, if it can happen to a woman like her, imagine what can happen to a woman with lesser privilege. That is why this story is very important. And whatever the outcome of this judgment is, it is also equally important because there's going to be a split in society. If Dileep is acquitted, people will say, oh, you guys, for so many years, you made him look like a criminal. See, we stick to everything we did. Everybody will stick to everything they did. If he's convicted, well, yeah, okay, fine. Then the prosecution's proved itself, right? But society is going to be split no matter what.
But also the way we look at crimes, especially sexual crimes, right? Why can't, it's all in black and white, right? In binaries. Why couldn't he have been what, like you said, a family man, a good father, a good husband, a good man? I'm not saying he is, but I'm saying even if he was all that, how does that relate to him committing the crime? And as far as the survivor is concerned, what she wears, what reputation she has, who she goes out with, every time that is put under the lens. And I think this is another lesson where it's gotten dragged on for so many years, somebody who is in the public eye. That's another lesson we can take away from this.
No, also, I think there's this case has a lot of interesting things which have happened over time. I'll just quickly go to Azeefa also, but I want to touch upon one small point which Sukanya made, which is about Judge Hani Varghese. And we shouldn't take it out of focus, no matter what the verdict is, that Judge Hani Varghese's behavior has been questioned by the survivor, by the prosecution multiple times. You speak to any witness who's been to the court from the side of the prosecution, they will tell you how the judge has behaved to them. See, there's a problem with in-camera trials, right? We can't report beyond a point. But we are sticking to what has been given in petitions against the judge itself. And there have been so many times that the judge has just stayed quiet when the victim was slut-shamed. So many things have happened in court. And that is, again, attention that we should not take away. I'm saying even if she convicts Dileep, people should still question and criticize her for whatever she's done till now, including what Azeefa was pointing out, that she kept the entire forensic report a bloody secret. For 2 years, she did not tell anybody that there was a forensic report which showed the memory card had been used or leaked or tampered. Why didn't she do it? Why didn't she tell the prosecution that, hey, look, something like this has happened? So I think at every point, the judge's behavior has been questionable. Azeefa, you have any final comments to make?
Dhanya, related to Judge Hani Varghese, I have spoken about this to quite a few senior lawyers in the course of my reporting. And one of them made a very interesting observation where she was telling me that, when the judge is a woman and there is a sexual assault case before her in court, this lawyer was telling me how the judge is also perceived to think that, okay, she is anyway going to be lenient with the survivor. And sometimes a lot of female judges have this pressure where they will just sit and they will let a lot of things happen. I'm not saying that is the case here, but I'm saying that this gender thing also plays out there because they need to. So the lawyer interestingly told me that they need to appear powerful. They need to appear strict. They need to appear like they have a scale of, objectivity, which male judges mostly don't have. So when it's a woman judge, the lawyer who I spoke to was also telling me that she has observed from her experience that judges tend to be a little more harsh to women. This is also patriarchy working, but I'm just mentioning that, like you said, there are so many interesting dynamics when you look at it. But all that said and done, yes, the petitions do make it very clear about how judge has been biased and how she has made problematic comments. Yes.
I'm not feeling that kind today, Sukanya. But yes, Azeefa.
Okay. No, you can.
Yeah, Azeefa, you have any final comments?
Yeah, so one main thing that is so striking for me is that in this case, the biggest threat to the survivor did not just come from, the assault or the perpetrators in the case. It also came from inside the system that was actually supposed to protect her, right? And a crucial piece of evidence that ideally should have been untouchable inside the court was accessed multiple times and across years, not even just one single time it was accessed. It was accessed across years and by people who were connected to the court. And nothing has happened to them so far yet, right? And at this point, the case stops just being about whether, a powerful accused has misused the system or is there any influence or something. But it becomes about a question that what happens when institutional safeguards just collapse and no one notices about it or no one takes any action about it. And even in this case, a prime device that was used to shoot the assault visual, right? It is still not recovered. So things like this is what is standing out in this case, along with the crime in itself.
So, Pooja, so I guess we'll have to wait for December
Yeah.
8th. But we have
But the story doesn't end there.
No, of course it doesn't. No, I'm saying this crime shouldn't have happened. But when it happened, we have thankfully had positive impacts also, which we saw in one of the outcomes for the WCC, then the HEMA committee, and the whole attention about, how the industry treats women, right? And I hope, and I know, actually not just hope, that the industry has become a safer place for a lot of women, at least a more safer place than it was before because of the safeguards that have been put. But that's not enough. This person also has to get justice, right? And there are so many angles to this. It is not just Hani Varghese. There is a very powerful lawyer called Raman Pillai who was part of it. There is a police officer, Baiju Paulos, who has been heading the SIT for years now. There are several characters in this who will all become much more relevant when the judgment comes, because there'll be a lot of focus on all these people, right?
And the last point I thought, sexual harassment, sexual assault or misbehavior is not something people speak about, especially within your own families. And because films are something that is so close to us, you sit and watch these movies together with families. Some of these conversations would have come up, and I hope that it's opened the doors to more easy conversation with your family.
No, it definitely has. I just want to end by saying that we have for months worked to put together stories when the judgment comes. And these are not just quick stories, not breaking news, but we put a lot of thought into what the audience should understand, what were the things that went on behind. So on December 8th, as you watch channels as to what happened, don't forget to look at the News Minute, because we'll really have good in-depth reporting brought to you by all my colleagues, including Sukanya and Azeefa.
Nuanced and sensitive reporting and not sensational reporting.
Yeah. And also, like I said, all these characters, right? Each of them have an arc in this whole story. So we have tried to bring a lot of these arcs together. Yeah. So thank you, Sukanya. Thank you, Azeefa. Going to be a very busy week for both of you, putting all these stories together.
Yes.
And already email is gone. No, only one off on in the second week of December. No two offs.
Yes.
But I think most of the people who worked on this will gladly forego an off to follow the case.
No, but it is very important, right? All of our energies have to be put into this. Anyway, thank you very much, Sukanya and Azeefa. Okay, so now we'll go to the second discussion of the day, which is about the Special Intensive Revision or SIR that's currently progressing in states like Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, West Bengal, Puducherry, etc. Almost every day we are reading news articles, watching in the news about how BLOs are under tremendous pressure. There are problems happening in the SIR process. I think in Kerala, we've not been hearing process level problems. Like things are going on pretty smoothly, except the fact that there's a lot of work pressure on the BLOs. In Tamil Nadu, what we are seeing are complaints about the process itself, where people are not able to find themselves on the old list, because what is happening is if you have a vote in Tamil Nadu, you have to see your name should have been there in the previous list, which is 2003 or 4. And a lot of people are not able to find themselves. Delimitation has happened. So to talk about all that, we have with us our Tamil Nadu Bureau Chief, Shabir Ahmed, who, like we were making fun of him, is the news himself half the time and not reporting the news. Welcome, Shabir.
Thank you, Dhanya. I'm not news. I'm giving news. Actually, people are, I don't even know why, people just randomly drag my name and, things get very messy. I don't know.
I feel like Tamil Nadu journalists are underworked.
I need to seriously talk with all the IT wings now.
Yeah, Tamil Nadu journalists are underworked, says Pooja. Or perhaps overworked And so the stress is
a
coming
relief.
out like this.
No, see, in Bangalore, we're stuck in traffic 4 hours a day. So you're so exhausted, you just don't want to get into any other unwanted politics. So try that, Shabir.
No, but what I just want to say is that I've seen a lot of people, the trivial word to use is trolling Shabir or harassing Shabir. But it's not funny when you become Islamophobic. No matter which part of the spectrum you are and you call yourself progressive, liberal, whatever it is, the moment you descend to that, brother, you are no different from the other camp. Right? So that is what I want to tell to those people. Anyway, we'll come to SIR now.
Yeah.
So Shabir, tell us what's been happening in Tamil Nadu and Kerala. You've done an episode in public interest. You've also spoken to people on the ground. What is happening now?
The SIR process itself is like we have been reporting, it's very chaotic, very messy. There are a lot of confusions on ground. But whether the Election Commission is able to settle all these issues, till the moment it's dragging, till the moment the BLOs are under tremendous pressure. Well, the one thing that we have been seeing, we have been witnessing, and everybody has been complaining is there's a lot of confusion in giving instructions and filling these forms. Basically, there are 3 parts to this form. The one part here, which is very easy to fill, the other parts are very difficult. And there was no clarity on ground from the BLOs in the first 15 days. They had absolutely no idea where to, guide these people to find their names on 2002 list and 2005. In fact, the Election Commission did not provide the crucial information that is required to find your name in the 2002 or 2005 SIR. Because in rural areas, the SIR was conducted in 2002. And in the urban areas, the SIR was conducted in 2005. So that kind of, clarity the Election Commission should have provided. But there was lack of, clarity from the Election Commission. The BLOs were given just like 2 days training, 2 half-day training. That's what I've been speaking to a lot of BLOs. They told me that one day they had half-day training online, another day they had half-day training online, and they were pushed into tracing thousands of voters. Each BLO was given 1,200 forms. And imagine most of these BLOs are Anganwadi workers, auxiliary nurses, people who are working in a very lower level positions in the government machinery. They were made to carry bags full of documents, 1,200 documents. Each BLO has to give 2 papers, 2 enumeration forms to a voter. So that becomes like what, 1,200, like 2,800 pages of documents they have to carry, street by street, door by door. So that became a huge problem for them. And initially there was a lot of confusion. And after that, the Election Commission realized that everything is becoming very chaotic. People are becoming very restless. They have become very frustrated because they can't find their names and all that. Then they came up with this help centers. So in Chennai alone, they have help centers in all the 940 booths across 16 constituencies. In several districts, they have all these help centers. So it took at least 15 days for the Election Commission to react, because that's how the Election Commission was unprepared for a massive exercise like SIR. So that has been the basic issues. And from then onwards, to stabilize this entire thing, it took at least 15 to 20 days for them. And now the biggest challenge is, in most of the places, the Election Commission claims that they have distributed these forms. 99% of forms have been distributed. But in most of the cases, I doubt whether 99% of forms have been distributed on ground, because in many places we get complaints saying that voters have received only 1 form, or voters have not received forms. So the claim that 99% of forms have been received itself need to be put to test, and that will only happen on the 4th of December. When the Election Commission will end the enumeration exercise, and we will have to see how many forms they have received, filled forms they have received. In most of the cases, what the local party workers are telling is, most of the BLOs have distributed these forms, they have scanned and distributed these forms, but it has not reached the voters. In some cases, that's the question. The BLOs have given a representation to the Election Commissioner, Chief Electoral Officer, and in which they have demanded time, because the BLOs are racing against time. Each BLO has been given a target of 1,000 to 1,200 voters. So they have distributed the forms. But in collection of forms, that is where the real challenge is, because only now, I think at least some 2,000 odd BLOs have received 100% forms is what the Election Commission is saying. There are 68,000 booth level workers and booth level agents, BLOs, 68,000 odd booth level officers, and they have to receive all the forms. And that has been the major challenge. And in district areas, in areas like Chennai, the problem is a lot of people have shifted their houses. There are a lot of people, deaths that are being reported. So that has been a major issue. In districts, people below 40 years of age, they can't find their names in the 2002 SIR. So they have absolutely no idea where to find their names, what to do, and they have been running helter-skelter. Now the next process is to add them as new voters. That will take place after December 4. So far, the forms have not been distributed to include voters. The next set of confusion will happen when those forms are being distributed and new voters should be included. And then if your name is not there in the electoral list, how do you challenge that? How do you appeal against that particular thing? All this is going to be a process that is going to become even more chaotic, is what the political parties are feeling here. The one major thing that this entire SIR exercise has shown is that if you don't have booth level workers for a political party, then you're at loss. And as of today, only DMK and AIADMK, I would say DMK is involved in this process 100%. AIADMK is involved in this process 50%. Whereas other political parties, they are only doing things in areas where they have some kind of influence. But across the state, it's the DMK alone that is, shouldering this entire process, helping people to, fill these forms, giving them the much needed clarity. In fact, in some places, what we are being told is that the BLO, the booth level officers, are asking DMK agents to help them in filling these forms, or give them a crash course on how to fill these forms, or how to guide these people, how to find voters. Because the manner in which DMK is working on ground is something which is actually very organized, and they are prepared more than the Election Commission, is what I would say, because they have 68,000 booth level agents. They have 68,000 booth digital agents, and then they have booth level committees which consist of 10 members. So the manner in which DMK is working on ground is something which is unmatchable. And the AIADMK chief Edappadi K. Palaniswamy held a meeting with all party functionaries on SIR just day before ago, like just 2 days ago. So he was like having a discussion on video conferencing. So asking them about updates on SIR, field level response and all that. The BJP is only doing SIR in pockets where they have some kind of influence. But otherwise, the BJP is not making any noise. The BJP is nowhere to be seen. The new entrant TVK, in fact, Vijay released a video. Vijay created some kind of awareness, but on ground, their presence is very minimal.
So I just want to add that what Shabir was saying, right? If political parties on the ground can really assist the process, assist people, then I think a lot of the issue gets solved. In Kerala, when I started, I said that there are not a lot of complaints about the process itself, because the CPIM, the CPI, the Congress, especially the left, is very, very organized. So they are doing whatever their bit is in making sure that people's votes are retained. But the larger question is, see, nobody is really contesting the fact that India's electoral rolls need cleaning up. Why do it at such a neck break speed?
I think that's the problem. And deliberately, there is this message being sent out that this is a process to clean up our rolls, and anybody who's against SIR right now is against cleaning up of rolls. This is a deliberate message that's coming out. EC's reputation for the last couple of years particularly has been at best dubious. There have been multiple questions raised on their neutrality. Number one. and their efficiency too. Number two, why do it just before elections? Let's look at what they're doing. Every voter has to be revalidated. That is the idea. That means that everybody's house has to be visited multiple times, not one times, with forms that has to be printed in a hurry, in a matter of days or weeks. Like Shabir said, many BLOs are waiting for forms to come to them because let's just take Tamil Nadu. Over 6.5 crore people, you have to print that many forms, multiple versions of that forms. It's not an easy task, right? Then that will be printed. It will be sent to the BLOs. Then the tech part of it. Are we pretending that the digital divide is not real in India? Half-day training for 2 days, unimaginable. You can't even begin to wrap your head around it. The BLO is expected to understand and then go and implement it. Then comes a technical glitch, right? All of this, what is the result? It seems like silly mistakes, accident or deliberately, but what it will result in is people being left out. And this is a very crucial process. Either people will be left out or some ghost voters will continue being there that can be leveraged by whoever has access to EC. That I think is the biggest fear. We are not prepared to clean up our roles. Do it when we are, not in a hasty manner.
No, there is a problem, but this is not a solution for that problem.
Or I'd say this probably is the solution. It's not in the way it is being done. Which is why,
where the onus is on the voter.
Correct. So I have another issue. You're talking about how DMK is being proactive. It's a matter of survival for DMK. They will be. And kudos. But again, that brings in the point that no political party should be so closely involved because that means that you can tweak the system to your advantage. Right? You can get the BLOs to go to houses where you know you have your voters, leave out pockets who are not your voters. So it should be the EC doing this exercise in a neutral manner, not taking support from any political party.
In fact, I had been through the documents of the Election Commission of India in 2002 and 3 when they had announced. At that time, it was not called Special Intensive Revision, but they had another intensive revision process. In that document and the document now, one part is very clear that at that time, the onus was on the Election Commission and the BLO to make sure that somebody is retained on the voter list or somebody is removed out of the voter list, right? This time, the onus is on the voter himself or herself. The voter has to ensure that their name is on the list and the BLO is just one side event happening. And we can't also forget that the BLOs across states, we have been seeing stories from West Bengal, Kerala. In fact, in our headline, we read about how one BLO took off his lungi or munda. I guess he was just so
done with it.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't want this job anymore.
Dhanya, that is very real issue that is being ignored by the Election Commission. In fact, most of these BLOs who are working on ground are women. In fact, they have to start their day as early as 7 a.m. in the morning, or Anganwadi workers at 6 a.m. in the morning. They have to go to Anganwadis, they have to finish their work, they have to attend their regular duties, and after that they have to go out on the field to distribute forms or to collect forms, call up people, remind them to submit their forms. Then they have to go sit in these help centers, address all the queries that are thrown at them. And then they have to help them find the voters' names in 2005 SIR. As far as Chennai is concerned, in other areas it's 2002. And then after finishing that camp by 6 o'clock, then they have to go house to house, door to door to collect those forms or remind people that their forms have to be given. So it's a huge process. In fact, these BLOs are saying that we have been involved in this process with just 2 days of training, 2 half days of training. And after that, no resources are being provided. Some BLOs say, BLOs who are working in rural areas, they say they don't have a proper phone, they don't have proper internet, they don't have proper resources. They are being forced to scan these forms. If their phones are not okay, then the app doesn't work on their phone. So there are multiple issues that these BLOs have been facing, but all that is being ignored by the Election Commission. Now imagine in 2002 or in 2005, this entire SIR process was conducted in a span of 3 years. From 2001 to 2004, it happened in several states in different formats, in different timeline. So now imagine a process that took 3 years for the Election Commission to complete in 2002 or 2005. Now they're doing it in 30 days. It's unrealistic. No matter how efficiently these BLOs or BLAs or whoever works, it is going to lead to some kind of exclusion, because people are not going to be so interested in ensuring that the forms are filled, and they have to, go to the BLO office, they have to go to the booths every other day to check. In fact, in one booth, help center where I went, I was asking, like, the entire family came, they took 1 day holiday to, 1 day leave to fill these forms, and they have submitted all those forms. And the person is telling me that even after submission of these forms, I'm not sure whether my name will appear on the final draft electoral list or not. So that there's absolutely no clarity, no guarantee whatsoever. So the entire process itself is like, they have questions after questions. One of my friend was telling me that he watched at least 5 YouTube videos to, fill this form. That is absolutely ridiculous. And some of the videos, there's a lot of misinformation. There are videos that are made in different languages, and there's a lot of misinformation. People have no clarity about how they can go find their names. In some cases where we went and verified list, or the 2002 SIR list from Dharmaburi, Krishnagiri and all that. In some random booths, we went and we checked. And in some places, we found that the pages that were uploaded were all like faded, torn. The names are not mentioned. There are no epic numbers at that time. So even if you put your epic number, the epic number that you have now, you can't find your name. There are tech glitches, tech issues. There are a lot of problems.
Yeah. So, I have been wondering, my first vote was in Kerala for the 2003 elections. And then I shifted to Karnataka in 2009. So if they come for SIR in Karnataka, my vote will not be in the Karnataka SIR list. This is a small problem, but imagine so many people are facing this.
And I think the process, it's so difficult to get people to come and vote in the first place. I'm just listening to this. It's not yet come to Karnataka. I worry. I dread how complicated.
But I hope people who get the vote after this process will actually turn up to vote.
But Dhanya, that's the second thing. Like Shabir was saying, the draft rules will come 8th, 9th of December, end of year. People are, making holiday plans, not me.
No, that's a problem.
So they come back to
Yeah, no, so I don't think people even
January.
understand this. There's a draft rule that's going to come out. You have to check if your name is there. If your name is not there, then there is a process of complaining that your name is not there and getting it included.
And that will be so complicated.
Yeah.
People will be like, to hell with this. I mean, I'll
And
just get on with my
touch
life.
upon the BLO suicides, right? We have had reports, I think, across India around 10 suicides. Now even newspapers, which normally don't like to report much on all this, have been forced to report it. Newspapers, as in not the English ones, but the rest of it. So in Bengal, Kerala and Tamil Nadu also, but Tamil Nadu, I don't know whether because of overwork. And a lot of families have been coming and saying that people are clearly overworked. Every time I turn to X, Twitter, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like people are very negative on X and they're very happy on Instagram. Aren't these the same people?
No.
They're different.
I mean, even if they are, it's a different personality.
Okay, anyway, this moronic personality people on X, they're all saying that, for the first time government officials are working. What is the overwork in this?
I dare them to go and do the work of an Anganwadi worker for that payment for 1 week.
Yeah, seriously.
1 week I dare them to.
Yeah, and people are just mocking, saying, oh my God, you guys are just tying up. I mean, having a disenfranchisement of a citizen is everybody's problem, right? If it happens to someone in your family, then you're going to be worried about it.
But nobody cares. That's my problem. Nobody looks at voting as a real thing. Everybody says, what difference does it make? Right? It's not taken seriously enough. And my worry is when things go wrong, the same BLO will be
blamed. Yeah.
Not the election commission. The election commission has a lot to answer. Instead of just sitting and trolling and holding press conferences, why was this exercise not done months in advance? You knew when the term is ending in Tamil Nadu, Kerala, or even in Bihar. This exercise could have started a year ago, 2 years ago. Why did you suddenly wake up?
Appreciate this Kerala CEO, not for anything else, but I think, I don't know about Tamil Nadu, Shabir, correct me if wrong, but the Kerala CEO is very, very active. He's on every news channel explaining how to do the forms. I mean, I can see, Ratan Kelkar is his name. I can see there's an effort being made to make
But you got to
people-
work with what you have, right? But
Yeah.
I'm saying the whole thing is flawed to
No,
begin
I'm saying
with.
from his perspective,
Yeah.
I can see that he's really trying to put information across. Is that the same in Tamil Nadu?
Tamil Nadu, after 20 days, the CEO addressed a press conference, and that too when there was an observer who had come down to Chennai to oversee the SIR process. That was the only time the CEO agreed to address a press conference in which basic information was given, when actually it was required. The CEO was required on ground to talk to people, to explain how they need to fill forms, the entire procedure and all of it. The CEO was absent. No press conferences were held. In fact, political parties were actually complaining, saying it is very difficult to get in touch with the CEO, though the CEO is a great officer. When she was a collector, she had done several things on her own without any bias. Like she was a very able officer. But in this position, when political parties are reaching out to her, she is absolutely out of reach. And even the election officers in Chennai, for example, the corporation commissioner, he is not answering calls. He hasn't given a press conference regarding SIR. And, if there was election, chief electoral officers like Naresh Gupta, we have seen Naresh Gupta going to the constituency, even for a by-election. He'll be there visiting all booths and he'll be so active. We have not seen the CEO going to booths to check what exactly is the process that is being followed, how things are unfolding on ground, what are the BLOs saying, or what are the BLAs saying. So what if they have any kind of complaints? Nothing of that sort. I wish if there was Radha Krishnan, IAS, who was there as Chennai commissioner, probably he would have been there on all TV channels trying to explain to people as to how this entire process needs to be done, because the public contribution is very important. And if you don't give the information to the public, you can't expect them to come forward and participate in this entire process. Though people are finding it extremely difficult, though people are finding it frustrating, but they are ready to take part in this entire process because the election commission wants something to be done. They're ready to do that. But is the election commission coming forward to give them the required information that is required to make this entire process a smooth one? That is not happening from the election commission side. Even political parties are complaining about it. Even if they want to lodge a complaint, there is no appointment given by the CEO to speak to them directly.
No, I just want to remind everyone, the reason why this SIR process started is because of the BJP claiming multiple times that there is a
influx of migrants and Bangladeshis and whatnot, Muslims.
Yeah,
Yes.
that a lot of Bangladeshi Muslims and Muslims from wherever they came, that there are a lot of these, Rohingyas. There are people who have just infiltrated into our system and they have to be somehow thrown out. And for that very reason, you have inflicted SIR on, let's say, 90 crore voters across this country in phases. And what is the end result? We have seen in Bihar what happened. Eventually, in the Bihar SIR list, only 0.012% of people were found to be foreign nationals. That is a number, 0.012%. So to ensure that this small percentage of people are thrown out, you are basically putting a lot of legitimate Indian citizens in trouble, and lakhs of them are getting removed from the list.
Legitimate voters are being removed.
Yeah.
And also, Dhanya, one important thing, that the entire SIR process is a negative, PR for the election commission. And also, the BJP realizes that people are angry against the BJP because they feel that the BJP is doing this, the BJP is doing it, because that's the kind of propaganda that has gone down, at the grassroots level. So now to correct this image, the ED is actually writing a letter regarding one Sri Lankan national who has obtained, ID cards, and she has her name in the voter list. So to remove that name from the voter list, the ED is writing a letter to the election commission. So this is also happening on one side to say that, oh, there are some problems with the electoral list. Everybody agrees that there are problems with the electoral rolls, but it could have been done in a very different manner. The SSR process, the summary revision of electoral rolls, happen before every election, or every year it happens. It's a continuous process. They could have removed the names like that. They could have removed the names of people who are dead in the summary revision process itself. If you want an SIR to be done, there has to be a compelling reason. In a state like Tamil Nadu, if you want to do SIR, there has to be a very compelling reason, but I don't find that reason. And nobody knows what is this SIR is all about and why it is being done and whom it is going to favor. So that is that is the key question here.
Anyway, so we'll revisit all this once the draft rolls are out. We will be on that story. Remember, the 2003 guidelines clearly said it is not the job of the enumerator to determine the citizenship of an individual. That goalpost has been completely shifted by the BJP. But eventually, who's suffering? It's the people themselves. You can come back.
In democracy.
Yeah, I mean, you can just ask us, oh, what's the big deal? Just fill a form. Nobody's saying no, but why put everybody through so much difficulty? We'll come back to it after the rolls are out to see how many people have been left out. So I think we should be on the story more aggressively, Shabir, after the rolls are out, because that's when we'll know exactly what deletions have happened. Okay, so we will go to the recommendations.
Before that, I want to announce we complete 1 year. This is South Central's 1 year anniversary.
Yeah, so this is the 52nd episode.
Yeah.
I think in some of the episodes, but we had, combination episodes with Hafta,
Yes.
right? That's the reason why it's 1 year. 1 year I've done this. I feel like a veteran, podcast veteran. Can I retire?
No, absolutely not.
Anyway, write to us at southcentral@thenewsminute.com. Now we'll go to recommendations. By the way, every week we have recommendations. All the recommendations are there in an Excel sheet in our show notes, so you can access them anytime you want. Pooja?
Mine? I want to recommend us the podcast series by Himal South Asian, where our former co-host Leena currently works. This is on RSS. They've been doing it for a while. They started in October. I caught up on it. Quite a few interesting conversations on RSS's relationship with caste, why they have a problem with Nehru, and what was their role during the independence struggle. Whole bunch of things. I think it's important to revisit this now because RSS has rebranded itself multiple times, and they're hoping that public memory is short-lived and you don't know how they started, what was their role. So it's a good time to kind of rebrush your memory.
So my recommendation is a series. It's a comedy drama series that I just finished watching. It's called Hacks. It is a very interesting series on, I can see Pooja giving me a high five there. Azeefa also. Yeah. So it's a fun series on this veteran female stand-up comedian and how she hires a young queer woman to be a head writer for a new material that she's churning out. And it's about their interactions and how she's trying to revive her career and all of that. But what is interesting is also the camaraderie between these two women who come from entirely different generations, and how this older woman comic, though she's very successful, she's made it, she's had her struggles, it's a male-dominated industry, etc. And suddenly this young woke writer comes in and they have conversations on political correctness, how people cannot just take a joke and all of that. And it's super funny, it's warm, it's a lot of solidarity. I loved watching it. So Hacks.
Love it. Totally love it.
My recommendation is a book like many people would have read it. It's The Seasons of Trouble by Rohini Mohan, which I just finished reading. And it is like one of the best nonfiction book that I've ever read. And I feel like the way the book is written is absolutely gorgeous. So that is something that I want everybody to read.
Okay, I have two recommendations. One is a story on Wire where it's about SIR. What the SIR means for remote community near the Indo-Bhutan border. There is a Toto community that lives there, and the manner in which SIR is done on ground in that particular area, that particular community, is absolutely shocking because the BLOs are refusing to give information to the people there, and in fact the people have no idea how to fill forms and all that. The one biggest fear is that whether they'll be branded as outsiders, that is one fear. And the second thing is they will lose their cultural identity. So that is also is one biggest fear as far as the SIR is concerned. We are talking about citizenship, we are talking about other issues, but there is also a cultural aspect to it, which the story has captured. So I recommend people to read that story. And the other recommendation is watch Ein Endra Kelvi, which is in a new format. So we are trying to bring a lot of guests like how Dhanya does South Central. So if you are willing to listen Tamil politics, Tamil commentary, then YK, the Ein Endra Kelvi is the place to go for. So do watch Ein Endra Kelvi in a new format. So I hope, Dhanya, we will put Ein Endra Kelvi posters and all in this.
Yeah. And I was just wondering, Shabir is starting to look younger in the Ein Endra Kelvi posters. I think he does some,
See, his editor Vignesh sits right there. So Shabir gets to put like younger looking photos. But our editors don't listen to us. They make me look old each time.
That's because you are.
Please, Shabir is older than me.
Okay, anyway, my two recommendations. One is this book. I just started reading it. I've only finished 3 chapters, but it's very, very interesting. It's called Assembling India's Constitution. It's by Rohit De and Ornit Shani. So it looks at how the constitution was put together, not just the Constituent Assembly, but how people of India contributed to the constitution after the first draft, how they gave an opinion, people from very remote villages. And I was thinking, the constitution, for 1 year, people could give opinion. Here, the broadcast bill is brought out with a watermark on it so that nobody will share the bill with anybody else. And if you share, the government is watching you. My second recommendation is kind of useless, but I still liked it. It's this Korean series called Born Appetite, Appetite Your Majesty. It's quite a silly, it's okay.
I have a problem. Don't call anything
No,
useless
hold
silly.
on. Let me finish. So the point is, the cooking scenes are awesome. You will feel hungry every time she cooks, right? And every time they put that food in their mouth, you're like, I want to eat that. The rest of it you can forward. So do watch the series for the cooking and feel hungry.
You know, entertainment has real value.
This has real value because I have been ordering stuff also.
So that's bad. Are you on a diet?
Not anymore after watching this. Yeah, so that's all from us this week. Remember, we told you 26% discount on our subscription.
High and higher.
Yeah. High and higher. Yes. 26% subscription off till the end of this week. So take it, become a subscriber, come for our editorial meetings. You can come for Media Rumble, which is going to happen again next year. Thank you to my producer, Bhuvan Malik. Thank you to production assistant, Ajay. Thanks, Sukanya Shaji, who was also a guest this time. Thank you, Yana, who does our socials, and Jasim Ali, our editor. Listen to South Central every Friday.